everybody, welcome back to another fantastic episode of Ready to Die Fighting. I'm Kris, and today I'm building just a little, just doing a really quick, simple project. So simple that it's barely worth even talking about or explaining. But I will, because that's what this channel is all about. But more importantly, I really want to talk about the importance of developing your carpentry skills, just your ability to be able to build things and acquiring the tools that you can do it. Because whether shit has hit the fan or not, you may want to build something. And it doesn't have to be fine woodworking. You don't have to have a bunch of super expensive tools or anything. Now the dryer's going. More times than not, I just use this. I know how to use a table saw. I have a little circular saw, but I use this a lot. My lawnmower, it's a push mower. There's no engine, no motor, no gas, no battery. It's just you pushing it, and the motion of you pushing it spins the blades and it cuts. I do have a power drill, and this is probably the only power tool I use on a regular basis. But even still, I just use one of these guys more times than not. I mean, if I actually have to put a hole in something, I will. But I haven't been able to find a manual drill. So why work harder for the same result? There's 4 reasons. 1, these manual or non-power tools, they are cheap. They are small and take up virtually no space a lot of times. My push mower especially, way smaller than a gas-powered mower. It's also lighter. You know, all these things, they're small, they're lightweight, because you know there's minimal parts, which means there's minimal maintenance as well. So they're cheap, they don't take up much space, and they don't weigh much. There's virtually no maintenance to them. You know, maybe sharpen the blades, that's it. Also, no oil, no batteries, no gas, no spark plugs, none of that. And it's also good exercise. Oh, sorry, 5 reasons. They're also quiet. And that's the part that I really like. So I just like to think of, let's say we are in some sort of situation. I may still want my grass cut. I may still want to or need to build something. And let's say I do have a generator or I have gas reserves or whatever to keep my machinery going. Those things are loud. I don't necessarily want my neighbors or whoever, if everybody else doesn't have power and doesn't have gas and doesn't have food, and they hear me cutting grass and building things, that seems like that's going to draw some unwanted attention, and I don't want that. So I like to just use these. You know, you can hurt yourself with them, but it's a lot harder. I trust letting the boy use this more so than letting him use a powered circular saw, for sure. I let him use this, supervised, of course, but I want him to know how to use this stuff safely. I had to learn how to use this because it does take a little bit of trial and error at first. It doesn't take as much effort, not nearly as much effort as I thought. Now, this is a 2x4, and admittedly, I had already started it when I decided, you know, let's record this, but. Glasses are about to fall off. How long did that take to go through a 2x4? Yes, a circular saw or jigsaw or a whatever kind of saw would have been quicker. Sure, but by how much? That really didn't take long. I'm not out of breath. My arm's not hurting or sore or anything. Once I learned how to use that and make good cuts, it's easy. It's not a big deal. It's safe. It's quiet. I'm doing this in my basement. Dust isn't flying all over the place. It's just really convenient. And I think especially in a shit hits the fan type of scenario, that's what you want. You want something that's low maintenance. You want something that's gonna be safe to use. You don't want to risk losing a finger or an arm, which honestly is easy to do on a table saw. I took several woodworking classes in college. I actually went to school to be a furniture designer initially. That's what I wanted to do. And so I learned how to use table saws and planers and all sorts of things to build furniture. And injuries happened. You know, I mean, I did meet people who were missing fingers. I actually was injured using a table saw once. The blade caught the board, and thank God I wasn't cut, but the board kicked back some kind of way, and this was a long time ago, so I don't remember exactly how it happened, but the board somehow kicked back and hit me in the thumb, and it was hard and fast enough where my entire hand went completely nuts. It was almost like my hand went into shock, and it just kind of like busted the skin open, and blood was everywhere. I actually thought that I'd like lost a finger or something like that, because I couldn't feel anything in my whole hand. It was just covered in blood. I had no idea how bad it was. It was, there was like some internal, you know, it was kind of busted up, and my thumb has been sore and clicky and weird ever since, but I didn't lose anything. Those can be dangerous. You do not want to have those kind of injuries when hospitals might not be around. Like, that is a terrible idea. This, on the other hand, yeah, I could cut myself, but I can't imagine, like, how, not to the point where I'm going to lose a finger. You know, I might get one cut and, you know, maybe if my hand slips, but I'm not going to keep going through the bone. No. That's a lot safer. So I think that's a great idea. Invest in some hand tools. Learn how to use them. You know, that's what I always say. Learn how to use whatever your tools are. Learn how to use them. Practice with them. Just build some little things. Build some little silly things. It doesn't have to be, you know, beautiful. You don't have to do dovetails. Like, get some screws and a saw and just put some wood together and see what you can make. That's all. That's all. Let's see. Speaking of making things, what am I making? This, like I said, this is a silly little project. Basically, my bike does not come with a kickstand. A lot of higher end or specialized bikes, not specialized the brand, but just specialized bikes, don't come with kickstands. For a few reasons. Supposedly, the kickstands are just extra weight, and they get in the way, you know, you're less aerodynamic, blah, blah, blah. But kickstands are a bit convenient. They're easy enough to add on if you want them, which I haven't decided if I want one or not. But in the meantime, until I do decide, I thought I could build just a small little bike stand area. So I'm just going to use some 2x4s to hold the bike up, basically. So here's the wheel. Building, oh, you can't see that, can you? Darn. Here we go. So gonna have these two boards like that. The wheel goes in between them. Pretend like that wheel is attached to the bike. And then it should stand up, just like that, right? That's my plan. That's my thought. Although it's sliding. So just going to build some platforms like that to hold our bikes up. And hopefully that'll work. And if it doesn't, I'll just take it apart. Who cares? I burned a few calories cutting up 2x4s. So that's what I'm doing. I don't think I'm going to show you the whole process because this is, like I said, this isn't particularly fine woodworking or anything, but I will show you when it's done and if it works. So here's what I built. I mean, it kind of looks like a pallet, doesn't it? Nothing particularly fancy, just a few 2x4s that I measured like with my hands and using the bike as a reference, and it works like this. And voila. The bike stands up. without a kickstand. And then there's room for one more bike comfortably, and I could cram in a third bike if need be, which is fine. There's only 2 of us, but if we have an extra bike or an extra person or whatever, we have the option to squeeze somebody in if we want to. So that's it. So that's going to make this bike, storing it, setting it up outside, a little bit easier. I normally keep this one in the basement, but, you know, I bring it up and I usually just end up leaning against the house or putting it on the ground or whatever, which, yeah. But if I'm doing a little bit of maintenance, say, put some oil on the chain or putting these, bags and stuff on it, and it'll be really nice to have a little stand that I can just prop it up. Makes things a little easier. So that's it. Maybe even washing it, make it easier to do that. So yeah, having some basic woodworking skills, having some basic tools, some scrap wood laying around, can make your life a lot easier now and in the apocalypse. I think that's it for this one. If you're interested, I'll show you how I made this, maybe give you a little drawing or whatever, but it's really basic. You probably figure it out on your own. But if not, I mean, I'm happy to do that, make a video or whatever, talk about how I built it. Let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in. Otherwise, I'll probably just leave it at this. So I will. And here's how it looks all loaded up with 3 bikes. And none of them using a kickstand. They're just, 3 bikes is kind of tight, but they fit. It works. And so this was a super quick project. Maybe it took me an hour, perhaps. And that's, taking my sweet old time and recording while I was doing it. And it was just a useful thing that we have. So now, when I bring the bike out of the basement, I've got someplace to put it, aside from leaning it up against this fence and potentially poking a hole into this that fabric there. So I'll wrap this video up here. If this was helpful to you, if you enjoy it, and want to see more videos like this, I'm doing a lot of stuff on bikes lately, because there seemed to be some interest, and this is, in the summer, this is what I do. We ride bikes a lot. And so that's kind of where things go in the summer. So if you want to keep seeing these type of videos, like and subscribe, and send me some comments on what you want to see, and I will try to make videos for the audience. Thanks for watching.